School is the most important thing in your life. And while I hate school, I got a PhD. And I hate school. I hate everything about it. So somebody say, E, if you hate school so much, why you get a PhD? Because I hate school, but I love options. You can have average skill, but you can't have average will. You can't have average will. Like your will has to be phenomenal. You have to see basketball as the gateway. It's like a passport. Basketball is just your way to get in, and then once you get in, boom, then you dominate. So I'm telling you, you're not taking a test because they're giving you the test. You're taking a test that's about to change your life, your mama's life. And I know if you take the test serious, you'll kill it. When you go through your go-through, your siblings are watching you. When you go through your go-through, your friends are watching you. When you go through your go-through, your parents are watching you. And people will use your strength to get through their stuff.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy, E.T. Hey, look, super excited to be with you guys. Look, y'all must be special because, we drove from Houston to Dallas and we had a little, you know what I'm saying, just a little something, that stopped us a little bit. We were supposed to start this an hour ago. You feel me? So I'm super excited to be here. You're asking, what is this? Extreme Teachers Podcast, right? Three things. This is one, to give teachers inspiration. Now, look, if you like me, I'm just being real. About April, I was starting to get fatigued. You know what I'm saying? April, May, I already check out. You feel what I'm saying? So if you're like me, April, we try to get you to run not to the ribbon, but through the ribbon this year. All right. So we're here. One, this podcast is going to give you inspiration. Number two, community. All right. Community, man. Sometimes as teachers, even though it's I taught one school might have been, 1,100, but you still feel alone sometimes. Just honestly, you still feel like there are times where you feel like you're by yourself. So this is that community where you can email us, info@extremeteachers.com. I think that's it, Val. I think I'm right.
You got it. Let's go.
There's a lot going on. You know what I'm saying? But for real, you had a run in with a parent. You want a solution. You and your administrator not seeing eye to eye. All of the policies that's coming down and it's affecting your classroom, like all of that. We and more, right? Just email us. We're here for you. And the final one is professional development. We're here to give you the latest and greatest techniques to use in your classroom, to make a difference. Now, I am just your host. I'm just your host. I got some bad mama jammers. I know that's a song. I'm sorry. I got a different age group, Val, so I got to be careful because it's, what I'm saying, we going me, you, then them. You know what I'm saying? But I've got people who are in the classroom, been in the classroom, administrative level, classroom level, parents who had kids in the classroom. You got it all right here, right? You got it all. So I'm going to start off with, and I'm going to switch it up every week, but we're going to start with Sam. Sam, talk to me, Sam. What classroom, where were you? What did you teach? Talk to us.
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks for having me. My name is Sam, and I was a teacher in St. Louis, Missouri, the Lou. Yeah, and I was a high school teacher, special education teacher. So I taught all the subjects throughout my teaching career. And I taught for 8 years at the same school and then moved into a dean of students position at the same school in St. Louis, Missouri. So
yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, that's what's up. We will get into the Costa Rica project at some point. That's one of my favorite, projects in schools, and you just exposing. And I could be wrong. I had to get with Brandon on these numbers. He'll fact check at the end. But I think for a lot of our kids, especially in the urban communities, they have not traveled 10 miles outside of their home where they live. Very right. Accurate. And you had kids in Costa Rica, like unbelievable. You talk about exposure, right? So we'll get into that. I'd love to have some of those kids on at some point. Is that possible? Is that doable?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. I'm actually in St. Louis right now. to launch our Show Me the World. So Show Me
Okay.
Costa Rica
Okay.
So we'll be hosting some reunions and launching some things this weekend. So
Good.
I'll be sure to touch base with them, and then would love to get them on in the future. Absolutely.
Love it. Tell me real quick, in your 8-year experience, give me your, man, this is why I teach. Like, give me that moment, something that happened, something you saw that just made you like, yeah, it's a tough profession, but this is why I keep doing it.
Yeah, so really it's the relationship with the students and really seeing them overcome and persevere obstacles, to be honest, that I never had to face when I was 15, 16 years old. And just like such inspiration to see students become first generation high school graduates, college graduates, and just top honors and just doing their thing, like involved in so many activities and really leading the way. So those relationships are everything. And, I learned so much from them. And that's really why I continue to teach, for sure.
Get the tissue out. If you're going to be listening to this podcast, get the tissue out. It's going to be some stories, guys. All right. I'm going to switch it over to our teacher DJ, our teacher MC. All right. For those of you who don't know, you probably know Nell at this point, but Nell, talk to us. What school, what subject? Give us your why you did what you did.
So I had the pleasure of teaching and coaching at the high school that I graduated from. So just off rip, it was very, very special to me. I taught high school English for 5 years. Sometimes when you just hear me talk, it don't sound like I taught English, but I definitely know, what's supposed to be what on paper. But I taught high school English for 5 years. High school kids, man, it's such a beautiful time in their lives. It's a very emotional time, and I just loved being able to just love on kids, especially the kids that other people didn't think could do or that could be. It's just an amazing thing to love on the kid and then watch that love take root in them, and then they just get empowered and just begin to conquer things. And I just love planting seeds, like being able to plant the seed, and you might not see the whole tree or the whole plant, but when those kids hit me in the DMs like, oh my God, Miss, I can't believe you did this. I can't believe you used to talk to us about this, and now I'm doing this. That's the best thing in the world. That's the best thing in the world.
I love it. All right, let's throw it to Katie. Talk to us, Katie.
Hey, I'm Katie. I'm so honored to be here. I have kind of a unique experience that I've taught almost every grade level from K to 12. So I'm a reading specialist. So spent a lot of time in the lower elementary grades, K, 1, 2, and really, really have a passion for helping kids learn to read and learn to love reading, and co-founded a summer camp. So really have a heart for summer reading programs and the kind of impact that makes for kids. And then I made a jump 6 years ago to the high school level. So I've been focused with 9th through 12th graders on increasing their literacy levels, working with a lot of students that are high risk for dropout and have, trying to increase their reading skills and confidence and levels. And so, I love them both. I have found I love the little ones and the big ones. They all have their own unique special gifts, and I'm so honored to have been able to spend so much time with them. So
what's one of your greatest moments as a teacher?
I mentioned I have a heart for literacy. So seeing kids learn to read is magical. I've seen, the first graders who have struggled and read for the first time and look up at you like, I just read that. It's a magical moment. And honestly, I've seen almost that same moment happen with my high schoolers who have just stopped reading because they didn't like to.
No doubt.
And I can convince them, I love being able to get a book in their hands that they like to read. And they always, many of them tell me it's not going to happen. I'm always like, challenge accepted. We're going to make this happen. And so the high school kids too, and when they realize they've got something in front of them that they actually want to keep reading. And then they're willing to say that, like, I'm not too cool to admit, okay, I like this book. All right. You're right. That moment is magical too. So
Love it. Val, talk to us.
All right. So look, I come to the game with 30 plus years. I did 15 in the classroom. I taught math. I like that underdog. And the kids that go, I hate math. No, you hated the teacher that taught you math.
Right.
Come on, because I can teach you how to do math when it's applicable. And that's one of those things for me. And I'm the connector. I help educators connect with students that don't look like them. And a lot of times we don't connect the curriculum to our kids. We plan the whole year out before we ever meet our students. So are we planning that year for them? Or is it just to get through the curriculum? And that's why it has to be kids over curriculum. So that's for me, that's huge. And the moment that a kid cares about you outside of the classroom, like when they'll say they hit her up or they're getting that connection, that's a lifetime. That to me is the most important thing.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you. Okay, so I did K through 12, and I was fortunate enough to be at Michigan State for 5 years. So I did, I guess, K through 16.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I did K through 16, and this is a fun fact. The hardest group for me were kindergartens. They just melted my. I couldn't spank them.
Same.
I couldn't spank them. I couldn't control them. They just run over the cloud. Like, I'm not doing this no more. I'm not. I'm out. You know. So, but I love high school. I love college. But oddly enough, what I love the most is the connections I made with fathers who weren't comfortable with just parents. Period. But fathers. You know, I saw a stigma about education, and a lot of parents felt intimidated. You know, they felt like, you know, when you go to the school, you have to speak correct English, and, you know, you have to have a degree. And I'm like, oh, all you got to do is love your baby. You know, like, I'm not teaching you. I'm teaching your child, you know, but I want to have a relationship with you, because if I love you and your child knows that I love you, they're going to want to learn from me. You know, if they know I have a relationship with their grandma. So I would do like weekend lock-ins and have the fathers come in, and we lock them in and play ball and read and eat together and just get to know, you know, each other. And so, like Valari, I too am a connector, you know what I'm saying? And so, So thank you guys for that. Now let's get to our topic. You know, for those of you who will be tuning in for the next couple of weeks, we'll be talking about transition, right? And this is tough. You know, because transition in itself is hard. We know that change is hard. Most of us, you know, it's three things we like. We like consistency. We like stability. We like predictability. Like, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like to know that my favorite TV show is coming on Thursday at 8 o'clock. I like to know that the Lions play at 1 o'clock on Sunday. When they play the 4 o'clock game, the 4:25, it throw me off a little bit. I'm like, you know, I'm prepared at this time. So let's help educators, because not only are we transitioning, many of them don't even know what we're transitioning. Like, some teachers don't even know. Are we going back in the classroom? Are we doing virtual? Are we doing a hybrid? Like, some districts don't know. Other districts, they know, and people are like, yo, I'm not comfortable coming back in the classroom. I'm seeing the Delta, you know, variant. It looked like this thing is coming back. And so let's just talk, you know, transition, right? I'm going to go to you first, Val, but I just, for those of you who are listening, I want to make the connection. The reason why we're saying it is this. You know, I tell people all the time, if you really want to see change, you got to change the leader first. You know, it's easy if you're the Kansas City Chiefs and you got Mahoney. It's easy. If you the Packers and you got Aaron Rodgers, it's easy. You got Tom Brady. It's easy, right? And so if the quarterback can make the transition, then everybody else is going to be able to make that transition. The same in schools. If the teacher can effectively and fluently make the transition, it's that much easier for students to be able to do it. But if the teacher doesn't feel stable, of course, many of the students aren't going to feel stable. So Valari, give me, I don't know, 1, 2, 3. I don't know what your steps are, but talk to me. Give me some advice that you would give to teachers. And I know you did administration. So as a administrator, you know, one of the leaders, school leaders, what are you saying to teachers to help them, you know, get back in the saddle and do this thing, you know, again, effectively and fluently?
To remember, first of all, remember everyone went through the pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, no one was exempt. Not saying some people, yes, some people had COVID, some people didn't, but everyone experienced some form of it. And as teachers, just don't hold on to that. Like, don't just keep bringing it up. Even if you can do a pandemic update, if you want to do that, but I would stay away from it. But I would, if they wanted to talk about it, I would talk about it. But I would get them to a point where they understand we have to push forward. We have to push forward. And at some point, the teachers have to understand that the kids all went through something. So let's not act like it didn't
Absolutely.
exist.
Yeah.
So, and they have valuable currency because they can bring in something and tell you something that you didn't experience.
Yeah.
So it's not just the curriculum that we have to deal with in the classroom. We still have to deal with the reality that they went through, but we don't have to hold it as a pitfall and stay in it. So for my teachers, decorate your rooms, come in with the energy, understand that everybody went through something. Everyone's not an extrovert, so everyone's not coming in rah-rah. Some of them are coming in like, low key, but connect with all of them and talk to them and then plan it out. Let them know what the plans are. That way they know we moving. We still learning. Even if we have to go you have a hybrid plan. Get you a hybrid plan, get some blended learning going. So you're not just cutting it off and they're coming back into the classroom. Do blended learning where they're using the computer at home. They're still on that Chromebook. So then that way they don't feel like their life got chopped off. I was doing everything for a year and a half on the Chromebook. Now I'm back in here. I got used to this way. So blend that thing.
Yeah,
and just know, once again, it's a pandemic bounce back. We all went through it.
Yeah. I like that. The pandemic bounce back. I love it.
Yeah.
But I felt something out.
Because as she's speaking, and the way you let it in is we got to have some kind of thing that's constant. You got to have something that you do with your babies that it don't matter what's going on. This is the thing that y'all do. And immediately the thing that's coming to me is just the share out. But we know that all kids don't talk. So the way the share out happens has to change. Maybe you get something, you tell them to bring something that represent how they feeling. Maybe one day you're debating the topic. Maybe one day you're drawing that line. And if you have ever, then step over here. And if you have ever, but you have to do something relationship wise every single day as it relates to connecting to your kids, because the truth is it's just so many variables. You're gonna get something from administration halfway through the year that feels like you completely changing horses in the middle of the race,
right?
But when your kids know that you're seeing them, you're hearing them, and they can count on this one thing happening every single day when I go to Mrs. or Mr. So-and-so class, that just kind of gives them just stability and empowerment of their environment.
Yeah. You know what, Val? You said something deep. You said communicate. And you know what's weird? I think we communicate in our brains more than we communicate with our mouth. Yeah. It's like we're thinking stuff, but we're not saying what we're thinking. I used to always, especially when I was at Michigan State, I used to always wonder, why am I doing all this research on these kids and they're never seeing none of the data? Like, that was the craziest thing to me. It's like in football, in baseball, and basketball, the coach collects all this data, but y'all watching the film together. I'm like, why are we, like, for instance, there was a research. This is the most, shocking data I had ever read in my life, and I shared it with my babies at Wood Creek. But it was a piece of data, again, Katie, of course, you probably know this and you'll love it. But if a child couldn't read at a certain level by the 3rd grade, he or she had a greater probability of going to prison. Like, I promise y'all, I used to show that to my 1st graders, 2nd graders, 3rd graders.
Immediately.
I'm like, look, you need to see you going to jail. That's what I used to tell them. If you don't learn how to read, you're going to jail. And I was just being honest. And it's so funny. People used to say to me, why are you giving them that kind of, I said, the music they listening to is not pulling nothing back. The stuff they watching on TV is not pulling nothing back. The video games that they playing, they're not pulling nothing back. So why are we pulling back in probably the most important environment, and that's the school? So I agree with you, Val, and I'm going to say to my teachers out there, get it out your head, put it on a piece of paper, let the kids see what you're thinking, and constantly. I like paper. I like to see it because I be forgetting sometimes what you told me on Monday. I forget it by Thursday. So write it on the board, put it on there, and Val, something you said that really hit me. These kids are not fragile.
I was just finna say.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a difference between protecting the kid and handicapping the kids.
Yeah.
Come on
and
now.
especially our inner city kids, you come in and you feeling sorry for them. And hey, look, all of them got something they coming from. All of them been through something traumatic. And that's why it's our job to really personally care and love on them. But then we also got to set the precedent and let them know that the world don't care. The world don't care. And and even right now, you a statistic right now, and you a statistic waiting to happen. So whatever your little thing is you got going on is like, let's not handicap them. Let's, protect them. But that's the difference between protecting and handicapping.
Yeah.
And if they can go through their trauma and show up every day, then that tells
They
me
can
that they're
get-
not
come
as
on.
fragile.
Right.
They're not as fragile as we acting like they are.
Come on, come on.
And
Look,
again, for my teachers that are listening, parents, I want you to hear this the right way.
Yes.
The reason why I'm telling you, you have to learn how to read.
Yes.
That's why I'm telling you, you have to learn how to read. I'm not mad at you. I'm actually telling you, if you don't want to go to jail, if you don't like being told what to do, because in jail, they're going to tell you what to do. They'll tell you when to get up. They'll tell you when to eat. You can't eat your grandma Thanksgiving meal.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just get up and go to the corner store and get a Snicker bar.
Yep.
And so the reason why we teach with a sense of urgency is because you have to learn how to read if there's going to be any autonomy. Sam, talk to me. What are you telling teachers as they're making their transition back in the classroom?
Well, first of all, E, you were just talking about your babies at Wood Creek. So just a fun fact, y'all. E used to be my little sister's teacher at Wood Creek Elementary.
There's going to be a lot of
He
fun
taught
facts, y'all.
Jennifer how to read.
wow.
And I didn't teach Sam or her other sister. But let me let you know, her sister was a model student, and I used to tell my son, "Why don't you act like this? Why don't you act like this?" And they were good friends. But I tell my son all the time, "You need to. This is how you need to be right here." So she was a model student, to say the least.
But yeah, so on the teachers, though, I think going back to what just Nell just shared and Val, thinking about like these are the most important 4, 5, 6, however many walls you have in your classroom of positivity and energy when your students come back into this room. And so thinking about the variety of experiences that students could have had, different experiences here and there, thinking about isolation, social isolation. They might not know how to come back. Like I went out to our first work event and I was like, oh, wait, how do I socialize again? Like I had to, reteach myself. I think going back, like Nell said, that relationship building, like what are you doing to keep an upbeat, positive, like environment, get kids excited to come back to school, ease in, those relationship building, those socializing, the social emotional is going to be so important this year as we all transition back, because there's varied experiences, but you have to remember that those four walls are the most important. You have to remember, bring that positivity, because some kids, let's be honest, some kids are not going to be happy to be back. They might have liked being back at home. Like,
absolutely. All the introverts. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, why are we doing this? Why are we back?
This was working being at
like,
home.
I was fine at home just doing my work by myself and reading by myself and thinking about how, how do you still give kids that space too in the classroom? Because there could be some students that virtual learning worked really well for them and their individual space and whatnot. And some were really struggling by not having that socialization and being able to have that social accountability and all of that. So I think just remembering, going back, that every kid is an individual. You're going to have to differentiate your strategies, but starting off with being the most positive, upbeat, like we're in this together, let's go. And taking that time to connect with your students. And,
shameless plug. If you're looking for some positivity, there's always the ET. You don't say always Instagram, Facebook. I'm just saying shameless plug. But if you're looking for some serious, and I've heard it works. Okay, I've heard it works.
All the time.
All right, Katie, talk to us. Transition. What advice are you giving teachers as they transition back?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a challenge to balance two things. One, making sure that we are maintaining high expectations and providing rigorous instruction, because what you just mentioned on those stats, I actually have some of them here that I could share that, they make us cringe a little bit, right? But they're real research. About 85% of all juveniles in the U.S. Involved in the U.S. juvenile court system right now are functionally low literate. And one of them that really, gets to me is that students who start kindergarten below level, that aren't quite ready for kindergarten, have some studies show they have a less than a 12% chance of attending a 4-year university. So, we have to remember how important it is that we've got to get them where they need to be. And they may have missed some instruction last year for sure, but at the same time doing all of those things you guys just talked about. Like we've got to ease them in and make sure that we're taking care of them socially and emotionally. And I love the piece, and I'll use that about like a consistent something each day that they feel like they know will happen. And maybe even thinking about a consistent something like that that could transition to be virtual or in person or however that works, and weaving that in with a way to build relationships too, because that has to happen first before we can do anything else. So one quick strategy I have that I always use in my classroom is a whiteboard message or chalkboard, whatever you've got, but really simple, like question of the day. And then I teach students to answer the question when they come in. So to your point now too, that some of them aren't comfortable always talking in front of others or even to the teacher, especially at the beginning of the year. And so I have those be fun, get to know you questions. Tell me, what are you listening to right now? Or what's your favorite show? And then later they can turn into content review questions or whatever. But it's a way to just get them giving me information about them and having that strategy that they can tell something about themselves every day. And then last year, we quickly transitioned that into the virtual question of the day. When I was teaching virtually, every time they logged in, they did the same thing. They knew that there was going to be a question every day. And so that was a way to make sure that we were connecting and, you know, building relationships, learning about each other at the same time.
And that's the thing, when you're building relationships with kids, just because of the nature that you're a teacher and they're a student, everything feels high risk. Everything feels extremely high risk. If I say the wrong thing, if I write the wrong thing, and so you have to, and when you're relationship building, this is with anybody, you build in low risk moments. And so low risk moments are not always talking about the depths of the kid's heart and whatever traumatic experience they happen at 5 years old. So it's just like, yo, what's your favorite song? You know, what movie? Why y'all like this? Why y'all don't like that? Just building in those low risk things so that when it's time for high risk moments, something that's not in between is, them in their head about performing. Some of our kids perform so poorly in high risk moments because they're in their head. And so we build them up in these low risk moments and we tell them that we have confidence in them. I think our kids will perform better in high risk moments as well.
You know what? One of the things that happened with when I was in the classroom, they used to fuss at me, but I would sit the administration when I was a teacher. I would get all of their scores, their standardized test scores, and I would meet with each one of them and say, this where you are, this where you need to be. We give them these standardized tests. They get their results the next year. So they're not getting the same year, they're getting it the next year. So you telling me last year I read at a 6th grade level. Where am I this year though? So how can I do that? How is this applicable? But we talk about the achievement gap, and that's what you were saying, E. Like, we don't talk to the kids about these things that we just walking them through. So just imagine if your kid had cancer and the doctor was giving them all these treatments, but never told them they had cancer. They don't know how to do things differently. So if I know that I'm behind the 8 ball on this gap and I'm on the low end, and you tell me, then what I can do now, I know as the parent and as the child to read more.
Absolutely.
To do more. Okay, you know what? I scored low in math on fractions. Now the teacher teaching fractions, I need to really pay attention now because here's the fraction section. But we don't take that information, and we don't know what Lexile scores are. Like, we rarely talk to our parents about Lexile scores or the Lexile range that your child reads in. So you can go buy a book and you can have a barcode on your phone. You can scan the barcode and it'll tell. Look, Katie's happy with
this.
Katie,
you talking Katie's language now.
Katie, let's talk about Lexile scores real quick. Lexile. Talk to us about it, Katie. Like,
I give an assessment to all my students to get a Lexile level at the beginning of the year. And I do one-on-one meetings, just like you were talking about, to explain what that is. And I will admit that it was hard for me to not feel, you feel bad sometimes when you're sharing a low score with a student. And I just love my students so much. I don't ever want them to feel bad about themselves. So it's a challenge sometimes to be able to give them the real information that they need to know, but to protect their hearts and help them to know that you believe in them and you know they are so smart at the same time. Just because this one score, this does not define you.
Right.
It shows one area of weakness that we're going to work at. So
absolutely.
It's no longer an area of weakness. So we have those one-on-one meetings, and then I have students set their own goals too.
Love it.
What do you think is realistic here for you this year? And then I will give them what I think is a goal as well. And then we monitor along the way the whole year. We do check-ins and then share them with parents as well. Because, parents have never heard the word Lexile. They don't know,
Absolutely.
Most parents, I should say.
Yeah.
And so we got to give them that information. If we want them to be involved, we've got to help support them so that they know what those scores mean and how they can, help be of impact for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to say, for those of you who are listening who don't have transitional times, right? I want you to create transitional times. And again, I mean this with all my heart. Why is it that football has transitional times? Basketball has it, soccer has it, right? It's 90 minutes and you get the extra boy for any penalty. You know what I'm saying? There's you got the pregame, you got halftime, you got timeouts. It's like it's built in football. We got the big halftime show. It's built in. So for me, what I want you to do is let's build in the pregame. When the kids come in, what's the shoot around?
Yeah.
What does the shoot around in the classroom look like?
It's difficult. And sometimes as teachers, it's more of a refinement in our personality and our characters. Because sometimes it can be difficult to stand your ground against team leads and administration and people who telling you, how the time in your class should be structured. And I'm all for that, but I'm trying to tell y'all, my kid don't care nothing about no essays if they didn't eat yesterday. They don't care nothing about no essays. If their mom didn't come home yesterday. So I have to have time. And passing period is only 7 minutes. And I got 30 plus kids. I can't get all my kids. I have to have time to communicate with my kids. And I think that what you'll find is all humans are relational. That's why we humans. And so whenever we feel better and we like the situation we in, we perform better.
Much better.
And I just remember very vividly being in like a little teacher meeting and them telling me I had the best scores and the most improved scores. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? Like me, my kids? And then it hit me. It's like, yeah, because I for real love them and I for real believe, I for real have relationships with them.
They knew that.
Yeah, and they know that.
Better. Yes.
Yeah. So it goes back to the kids over curriculum. So they gonna give you the acronym for the year. They gonna give you the schedule for the year, and you gotta know off top. You gotta know off top. Okay, that's cool. And I'll try my best for it to look the whatever way you need me to look for it when you come do my evaluation.
Absolutely.
But I'm gonna do what my kids need me to do.
Absolutely. And again, remember, guys, it's about results.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
When you're you can't be non-traditional and then not get results. Okay?
Right. You don't be outside about your phone.
I need to be real with you here. You got to get results, okay? But if you can get results, there's a difference, and I'm not going to say any names, but there's a difference between one guy in the NBA who was breaking the COVID protocol. He got a couple games off. But let me just say LeBron didn't, okay? Let me just say that. LeBron didn't. LeBron was outside and played the first game in the NBA Finals, okay? Why? Because he gets results, all right? And you can't afford to have LeBron sit out in the playoffs. It is what it is. So I am saying to you, I know you but my supervisor, you may be very structural. You're very cautious. You want to play by the rules. Listen to me very closely. Don't play at the rules at the cost of your career. Don't do that and at the cost of your children's education. Don't do it. So if you know that there's some adjustments you can make that are going to allow them to perform better, that's what it's all about, right? Now, do me a favor. Make sure you call us, right? info@extremeteachers.com. Make sure you call us. We will come in and do a professional development, and we will talk to your administration. We will help them to get on one accord with you. We will help them to embrace non-traditional ways so that they can get real results, right? And why? Because we all have been a part of that type of school district, and we've been able to get results. And as a result of that, that's why we're on this podcast right now.
And that's another thing. This is what I love about high school too. When you teach in high school, because the candid, it's a little bit more candid. A lot of the reasons why our kids don't do what we say and they don't mess with us like that is because they don't trust us because we lying to them. So we lying to them. So if you know you're an introvert teacher and you're trying to get these kids to do this like extrovert activity, they're gonna sense that you don't even want to do it. So just go ahead and be honest. Hey guys, this is not usually how I roll, but I know it's gonna get a result. So I'm learning with y'all. It's plenty of times my kids raise, hey miss, how do you spell da 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 da? Hey my guy, I don't know. Let's see what Google say.
That vulnerability is key now. That vulnerability
It's okay to not know. You are a facilitator. You aren't all knowing. You're just a facilitator.
But why do we feel like as teachers we have to be?
That'd be all
when we get our first classroom, they give us the answer key, and we like get all the answers.
Okay, so that's why we do that. No, because I'm being honest. You know, I graduated Michigan State University, so I'm in a building with thousands and thousands of people, and I'm looking at all the different majors, and even in my college, it's not the only it's not as K through 12 as hell. It's and I'm humble because I'm looking around like, yo, I don't know any of that stuff right there. I don't know any of that. And I really only know the little bit that I studied. I don't even know if I know everything about my particular. And so I went in with that attitude. And again, maybe, you know, somebody may have graduated as smaller, but when you're at state, you were in the Breslin, like I was humbled by, man, I don't know everything. And I think to Nell's point, hey, if you're out there, we're gonna take some of the pressure off of you.
It's okay.
It's okay.
I don't know.
I don't know, but we're gonna figure it out together. Good. I love it. All right, as we wrap up.
I think just to go along with that, in addition to like the pandemic, like we have never experienced a pandemic before, right? Like as teachers, we have never experienced a pandemic. As students, we have never experienced. As parents, as family members, we have never experienced a pandemic before. And so thinking about, you know, post-pandemic, still in the pandemic, teaching, parenting, being a student, like we are all in this together. Nobody has the answer key. We're all in this together.
All rookies, we all freshmen. All right, hey, we're gonna get out of here before we go there. Speed round. All right, we got the speed round. Nell, teachers are watching. It doesn't have to be on transition. It's just a speed round. Give them some hope, some inspiration. Give them something, Nell, as they're going back in the classroom.
You a facilitator. It ain't no power struggle. It ain't no power hierarchy. You just a facilitator. Low key, them kids' parents pay you to be there. You know what I mean? It ain't really about you. It ain't about you. Fix that before we come back to the classroom.
Yeah, it's not about you. Good. Talk to me, Val.
Okay, 4 things: communicate, captivate, collaborate, and connect. Communicate, captivate, collaborate, and connect. And it'll be much smoother than you think.
Love it. Love it. Sam, where are you?
Woo! There's a lot to live up to in this speed round. But I say empower, like go in there and empower your students to be the best they can be. Bring your students together, learn from their brilliance, and just be an empowered teacher.
Good. I love it. I love it. I love it. Katie, close us out.
I love all of it. I'm going to switch it up and say, don't forget to take care of you.
Yeah.
You cannot
She
pour
stole mine.
empty cup. I stole yours. Oh, no.
Go for it, Katie.
Well, we talked about my other things like relationship building and you know, So truly, like, take care of you as a teacher. Like, this is going to be a challenging year, like they always are. And so don't be running out the door without your lunch packed. We've all been on those mornings, you know, where you're all crazy. Get up early and take care of yourself. Read your Bible, do your thing, whatever it is for you before you walk out the door, so that you can pour into your kids and then pour into your families when you come home without, you know, getting too empty beginning of the year.
Love it.
I love it. Hey, guys, so look, we're here to take care of the teachers. If you're watching and you are a parent, or if you're watching, you're a student and you have a teacher you love, please info@extremeteachers.com. Please write us about your teacher, right? We're going to be doing some relaxation, refresher stuff, sending them gift certificates, you know, in their cities for manicures, pedicures, facials. Somebody's going to win first semester a 7-day trip at a resort, a teacher. Look, we're gonna take care of it. The second quarter, some teachers gonna win. Make sure, send pictures, do videos.
What you say it was? Info at
info.
right. Right there on the screen.
Not for us. But please say something nice about your teacher. We want to get to know your teacher. Make sure you give us your school. We're gonna be shouting out schools. Shouting out teachers, coaches, great facilitators, right? Coaches, principals, just great staff, with kitchen staff, everybody, right? So if there's somebody that you wanna shout out, big up, make sure you hit us at info@extremeteachers.com. Look, we want you to know 3 things. We love you.
Yeah.
Man, we love you. You could have chosen any profession in the world.
Yeah.
You could have just, went a couple more months and done something that would make you $150,000, $200,000. Like you went to school just like everybody else. You made the sacrifice to go into a situation knowing that, hey, it may not, I may not like this every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm dealing with 15, 20, 30 different personalities. So we love you. We're here to be a community for you, right? You are not alone. If you were before, but don't ever say it again. Yeah, don't say that. Don't ever say, I'm alone. There's nobody. I'm by myself out here. Don't you ever say that again.
Yeah.
We are here to support you. All right. And then, like I said, we would love to at some point be in your school. Eric Thomas, I told you before the pandemic, I was making a transition out of corporate. Unfortunately, the pandemic hit and I couldn't get to schools. Right. So I'm back a little bit to corporate. All right. But we're ready to get back into school. So if you are a school leader or if you're a decision maker, info@extremeteachers.com. Like I said, it's a team. We can come do professional development. We can do it virtually. If your school is open, right, we can come to your school. So make sure you reach out to us, and we'll see you guys next week. Oh, Brandon, as we end off, anything? I forgot Brandon was here. Brandon, end us off.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's step into B's office just for a quick review for this episode.
All right, let's go.
I feel bad. Yeah, I feel bad not introducing myself to everybody. So everybody, my name is Brandon Burns. Most people call me B. My classroom experience is a little bit different. I've been a coach for almost a decade now. My sport is gymnastics. I've coached everybody from little kids all the way up to an Olympian who's actually in Tokyo right now as we're filming this episode. So a little bit different look for a classroom, but same type of style. And but more than that, I'm a student. Right. And I was a student literally up until 16 months ago. I was in the classroom getting my degrees in economics and psychology. So I've got that student perspective, and I want to use that right now to help give you some of the bullet points. I was over here taking notes as this panel of all-stars was talking to us. So I got some notes for you just as a quick review. And first of all, ET opened us up this topic of transitioning by saying, focus on you. He said, if the teacher isn't stable, how can the classroom be stable? How can the students be stable? So focus on you. And as everybody was talking, I put together a 3-step process for doing that. So step one is have the right mindset. Right? We heard Auntie Val talk about how we all went through the pandemic. So we have to find this balance of not pretending that it didn't happen, but also not dwelling on it. And that comes down to connection, right? Some of them are going to want to talk about it. Some of those students are not going to want to even approach the topic of the pandemic. So we've got to find a way to give both those introverts and extroverts a way of connecting with you about what's going on and what we're all dealing with. So step one is that mindset. Step two, which plays directly off of that, is communicate, right? And everybody touched on this throughout this entire episode. Nell said that we need something constant, not every once in a while, not once a week, every single day. We have to have constant communication. So do some form of relationship building every single day. That's step two, right? E talked about not holding back and treating them like they're fragile. Communicate, be real every single day. Because as E always says, small steps, great distances, right? So take the small steps consistently every day. And we gave out a bunch of strategies, guys. Whiteboard, right? Have them write answers to questions on the whiteboard. Bring an item to school with you. Right? Be okay not knowing the answer to every single question and build that relationship with the child, with the parent, and have those different conversations. Open up the line of communication. It'll only benefit you down the road. And then lastly, step 3, be positive on purpose. Yep. Be positive on purpose. Literally plan your positivity. How are you going to get these kids excited to come back in the classroom? How are you going to manage their fears about coming back into the classroom? How are you going to do it? Plan your positivity so that you're not caught off guard. Be positive on purpose. And then I'll close this out in just a moment, but just 2 quick announcements before we finish up this pilot episode. Number 1 is students. We're going to showcase some of your teachers. All right. You heard E say it. Email us, info@extremeteachers.com. If you've got an extreme teacher in your life, we want to recognize them. We want to share those stories. All right. So email us, info@extremeteachers.com. It's on the screen right now. We're going to be giving away some stuff. Like you said, mani-pedis, massages, vacations, the whole nine. Extreme Teachers is all about giving back to those teachers in the classroom who are doing and living what we talk about. All right. So let us know if you know somebody that we need to feature. And then lastly, if you have questions, concerns, comments, or as E said, if you're interested in the Extreme Teachers team coming out to your school, doing a professional development, again, extremeteachers.com. All right. So don't forget, you're not alone. You are a part of the Extreme Teachers family now. Kids over curriculum. That's what we're all about. ET, any final thoughts before we close out?
Oh man, you said it. Hey,
So beautifully wrapped.
I'm leaving B's office right now.
You gotta be right. Yeah.